What's up, everyone? We hope you've been well. We're here at a state park just inside of Iowa, about an hour away from where we're going to start the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail. We decided it was going to be best if we set up camp and start fresh tomorrow morning on our adventure. If you'd like to follow along with us, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification button to get updated as the videos come out. So we'd like to give you a few updates in this video. We have a few updates on the truck, how we got here, and how our trip's been going so far. With that, let's first talk about the updates.
The first of our big updates is the week before we left for the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail, we were able to have Loki sit at a local body shop, and most of his body damage has been beat back into shape, starting with the hail damage on the hood. That was done by paintless dent removal, and it came out fantastic. Secondly, the front quarter panel has been fully replaced. We used to have a huge sized dent right here behind the light. We've never talked about how that happened because the honest truth is we don't know how it happened. It happened after a long day of trail riding out in Ocala, and when we got home, that's when we noticed the damage. The last bit of body damage that was taken care of at the body shop was our most recent bit of damage, smacking this bedside and breaking out our taillights. Now the taillights are still on back order and we're still waiting till about July to get those fixed, but the body has been taken care of and we are super pleased with the outcome as Loki looks good again. Update number 2 is, if you remember, about a month ago we changed Loki's bed setup from a soft topper to a Diamondback hardcover and front runner roof racks and a CVT mounted tent. Now we also had a fourth component. We were going to mount an 8-gallon water tank from Waterport, the Weekender. However, it did not fit how we thought it would underneath the front runner racks. This left us in a little bit of a pickle because we were really hoping to have that for the Wisconsin trip. Great shout out to my neighbor who is a career-long welder who was able to put together some brackets for us to hang it off the side of the front runner rack, kind of like an awning. Now, this happened super last minute. It was the weekend, literally before we left on Monday, and he was able to make a super sturdy bracket to hang the water tank off of. However, if you notice, there is only one issue. It kind of hangs off the truck quite a bit. Now, it's not really an issue. Me and him have discussed ways to get that tucked back in. However, like I said, it was super last minute. It was literally the weekend before we left. Now, one of the other issues is we need to put the water tank on the passenger side, as our spouts aren't on the back like we would hope they would be. That way you can do all of your camp stuff with the hose right off the back of the truck. No problem. We're getting those things ironed out once we get home. However, for the trip, it's been perfectly fine. This bracket is absolutely super stout. We've already been off-roading. We checked out Nemo Tunnel in Tennessee, and it handled perfectly fine, fully filled with 8 gallons of water. So I'm not worried about it for the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail. Let's get on to update number 3.
We'd like to update you on how the trip's been going so far, and if you follow us on social media, why we were stuck in Indianapolis over the weekend. It all started when we were driving from our recent campsite after doing Nemo Tunnel and off-roading in Catoosa Wildlife Management Area, where we stayed right inside Indiana. We drove from there and we're almost to Indianapolis when I decided that we needed to stop for some coffee and caffeine up for the rest of the trip. So got off the highway, pulled off to the nearest coffee shop, and that's when I noticed, driving on the city roads more slowly, that the power steering was sort of wailing when I was turning it, like moaning and groaning. And so I was telling Zach, hey, something might be up. And we stopped, parked in the coffee shop parking lot, and Zach got out and went to look under the hood.
And that's when I noticed that we only had half of our serpentine belt left. And there was power steering fluid everywhere. So at that moment we knew we had an issue and we needed to have the truck looked at right away, because I did not have another belt nor the means to be figuring out what's going on with the power steering pump at that time. So we called up the nearest dealership, and it just happened to be Beck Toyota, just outside of Indianapolis. And they told us to bring the truck in right away, and they'd try to get us back on the road to continue on for our trip. Now, Beck was only 4 miles away from that Starbucks that we stopped at, and I had hoped that the Serpentine Belt would make it just 4 miles, and about 2 miles in, it threw the belt. And I knew so because the battery light came on, the power steering was gone, AC was blinking. So at that point, we were now driving without any accessories. So that means no power steering pump, no alternator charging the battery, no AC to keep us cool, and the biggest thing, the coolant was now not pumping through the engine. So it was kind of a challenge, but I decided I would try to get the truck 2 more miles, just limping it along. Biggest thing, just making sure that the truck wasn't overheating. Just keep on driving down the road. As soon as it would hit that hot temp, just cut the engine, put it in neutral, and just coast it on down the road as far as we could. And we were able to have enough battery starts to get it to the dealership. Everything was fine. The power steering was just pumping itself out everywhere. The fluid was everywhere. So long story short, what happened was we had a pulley completely let go on our drive, and it was why the belt was destroying itself, and that led to the pump being destroyed. Basically, we ended up having to replace 2 pulleys, the serpentine belt, and the power steering pump. And unfortunately, it took over the weekend in order to get the truck fixed. And I believe Monday night, we were able to pick up the truck and continue on the road to Wisconsin.
So this really made us think, we need a backup plan for if something like this were to happen. The truck was, our vehicle, our home for this whole trip. We didn't bring any of our old camping supplies with us. We didn't have a tent, sleeping bags, nothing. So our original thought to go camping for the weekend was sort of out because of that. And then
also the problem was it was starting to get pretty dang hot in Indiana, and the girls are perfectly fine for riding around in the AC all day, stopping at night and hanging out outside, but I don't know how hot Indiana was if
like mid-80s.
Stopping for an entire weekend and just having them outside for the entire time, it would have been pretty brutal on them. So it probably wasn't a good backup plan either way.
Yeah. So we ended up getting a rental car, which that led to issues of the dogs being in the rental car, and then finding Airbnbs, which when you're booking last minute for ones that allow dogs, it's not very many are even available. And so we had some fun figuring things out.
We had a lot of challenges to overcome for the weekend, but it's allowed us to learn a lot, and we are now aware of the possibilities and are going to be keeping an open mind about trying to figure out what a good contingency plan in that situation the next time would be. But
we're just glad to have the truck back.
Glad to have the truck back, and we can continue on the trip and get back home safely. So apparently this park here has some really cool, huge caves. Check that out. We're gonna go cave exploring real quick. Oh, you've gotta check this out. Come on. Alright, so we totally didn't know this was here. This is crazy tunnels. Full exploration. guys, unfortunately, it's just a quick look at the caves here. I was not expecting such massive caves. This one was called the Dance Hall. We don't have time to go check out some of the other smaller ones. Also, they're like super muddy, and we're trying to stay in the rooftop tent. Not really ideal to be getting filthy at this time. But a couple side notes, if you're still here with us, post down in the comments of a trip that you have taken where things just didn't go as planned. We want to hear about that. We want to hear about your guys' experiences. Throw them down there. We'll read them. We'll comment back. But for now, you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next one on the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail. To learn more about us and find out ways to help support the adventures, visit our website, Sunshine State Vikings. And to keep up with our adventures, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification button and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Sunshine State Vikings.